Now we could talk about duty belt setup. Oftentimes I'm on social media and I see private security officers, armed private security officers, they just have their firearm. And that's it. No extra mags, there's no pepper spray, no baton, or sometimes there's a taser and a firearm, no handcuffs, and they'll switch it up. You should have of the all of the usual less lethal options on your belt, and I will dwell into that. There's something in law called deliberate indifference. And I'm not an attorney, this is not legal advice, not professional advice. This is just a concept that you can look up on your own. Deliberate indifference refers to your actions, to the knowledge that your actions can result in an injury. Also, that an omission can result to an injury, and you don't take the proper steps needed to prevent that injury. So if you know that you might have to go hands-on with a violent person, and all you have is a firearm, and you know that you're going to need something that involves a less lethal option in order to control that person most of the time. That's deliberate indifference, guys. And what ends up happening in court, if you are found guilty of deliberate indifference, and this is all civil charges, okay, you can have punitive damages awarded against you. Not just your regular damages. These are punitive. So even if your security company has insurance, this goes personally to you to punish you. If you own a house, if it's not homestead property, my understanding is they can go directly after your house and your personal assets. Deliberate indifference. This is something that's worse than negligence. Baton. Sometimes I'll hear in social media, don't carry a baton. Your chances, and I think this is where some people are getting this from. There's a YouTube content creator called Hard to Hit, and I believe that content creator has about 8 years of law enforcement experience. He has his own gym. He teaches others self-defense. I really like the guy, and I believe that he's reputable. Now, in his video, he said that your chances of striking somebody when you use a baton in a non-permissible area are pretty good. And he says that the chance of that baton strike becoming effective, being able to stop the threat, are not too good. And I am going to respectfully disagree on some of these concepts based on my own experience. I've carried a baton for a very long time. I was licensed, as you guys know, in 1998 as a private security officer. I got my baton permit. I've carried a baton as a security officer and as a law enforcement officer. I have used my baton many times. And the baton that I have, it's made out of, it's basically your fabricated wood. It's called diamond wood. And unfortunately, the diamond wood factory burned down years ago. The Koga Institute used to manufacture them, the most awesome baton. I don't know if there's any available. I don't know if they saved some before the factory burned down. But that baton is the best. It's the fight stopper. The first time I used that baton, somebody started screaming. The suspect started screaming that I broke his leg. One hit, guys. That's all it took, is one hit, right to the leg. I don't recall having to use that baton more than 3 times. Now, that opportunity might have to come my way pretty soon. You never know. That opportunity of having to use it 4 or more times, there might be that day, guys. But that baton is such a hard hitter that it stops the fight. And the argument of, oh, you're going to hit him in the face or there's a good chance, I'm going to disagree with that. I've been in so many violent encounters that I have never accidentally hit somebody over the head with it, guys. I've never accidentally hit somebody on the throat. I am deliberate when I use it. And I am not, you guys, I'm not a martial artist. I don't have any black belts, green belts, purple belts. I don't even know what the belt system is in jiu-jitsu or other martial arts. But every time I deploy it, I'm accurate. There's one time where it involved a head strike, and that was intentional. And I hit what I aimed at. Obviously, that called for some level of lethal force. The guy threatened somebody with a firearm, and he ended up tucking his hand into his waistband area. So I needed to control that person, and it was about 19, 20 years ago, maybe past that. Let's believe that a baton, guys, is necessary. Yes, you do have to practice with it, but I don't believe that the disadvantage of almost having to strike somebody on accident, I don't think that risk outweighs the benefit of having a baton. Also, with a baton, you're able to create time and distance. You have multiple attackers coming towards you. You start swinging at one of them. The other's going to back off. That weapon allows other people, it forces them actually to back off if you use it correctly. With a taser, and I know a lot of you carry the X26 or even the Pulse, if you have multiple attackers, okay, if you tase one, there's no guarantee that person is going to be incapacitated. As a matter of fact, the rate of effectiveness of taser varies depending on the agency study. I've seen 50%, I've seen 70%, 60%, and I've seen 90%, and I've seen 95%. Obviously, Taser International or Axon will boast the higher rate of the 90 to the 95%. Just having to deploy a taser in real life situations, I'll tell you right now that it's not 90%. Just on my own experiences, it's not 70%. It's not even 80%. 60%, 70%, maybe. Okay, maybe. I'm just saying that it's not always effective. There's so many variables. So after you deploy your taser on one suspect, then you have the other one to deal with. With a baton, you strike one, you can go for the other. And just keep striking or keep swinging until they keep backing off. And actually, when you're doing that, you can actually buy time and engage with your taser. They back off a reasonable distance away. That gives you that time to draw that taser. A baton can be used to move snakes. Now, obviously, you have to have a long baton for that, and you have to know how to move a snake. But that's what you could use it for, guys. To reach areas that you ordinarily can't reach. There's uses for a baton. Some of the batons, I believe it's the RCB baton, you have a glass breaker on it. And I know some of the ASP batons, you can get a glass breaker on it. You could use it for that too. I wouldn't use a wooden baton for that, but you can. That's what batons are for. A taser doesn't have that glass impact device on it. The baton that I use, guys, it's the best baton ever. My baton was purchased from the Koga Institute a long time ago. I don't believe that the Koga Institute makes it anymore. I believe that the Diamond Wood factory burned down. That's what that wood was made of. It's basically a fabricated, laminated wood, and it's hard, guys. I call that a fight stopper. Usually within 1 to 3 strikes at the appropriate area, the person gives up. They gave up just about every single time. It is a fight stopper. That's why I'm going to disagree with a lot of you guys who say that a baton's not effective. How about I give you my baton and you'll be able to stop the fight. I just can't. I just wish that I could just show you guys how effective that baton is. The first time I've used it against somebody, that person was screaming of pain. He was screaming that I broke his leg, and it was all over, guys. That's it. I don't think I've had to use it more than 3 times. That is the ultimate fight stopper. Okay, pepper spray. Why do I need pepper spray if I have a baton or if I have a taser? Well, pepper spray can be used against dogs. I mean, do you want to use your firearm against a dog? What if there's people in the background or your backdrop? One of the rules of firearm safety is know what is your target and what is beyond it. If I have a charging dog, if I still have some time, I might want to consider pepper spray. If I don't have time, then I need to consider something that's a little bit more effective, depending on where you're at. This could be your firearm, it could be your baton, but even the baton requires some precision. But with pepper spray, hey, I could spray the canines, especially some of them. They'll go low to the ground, and then you'll see the hairs along their spine, and then they'll slowly start prowling towards you. Perfect time to deploy pepper spray. Dogs are really sensitive. I'm going to keep saying this. This is my caveat. You got to be careful, though, on a charging dog, especially pit bull or German shepherd or some dogs that can be aggressive. Even a Dalmatian, guys. You may not place that spray on the effective zone in time. So be careful. Pepper spray. If I have a crowd of people moving in, I can spray as long as I'm justified to spray each person. Okay. With pepper spray, you're going to get more of a reach than your baton. My baton is about 28 inches. Some of your pepper sprays can easily reach 15 feet away. Okay, some of them are 7 feet. Some of them are 10 feet. But I get more of a reach using my using my pepper spray than my baton. Handcuffs. You absolutely have to have some type of a restraint. And here's why. If you get into a lethal force situation, what you're essentially telling the court, what you're telling the jury, is that you never intended to arrest that person. Now, that's not what I think. That's what the court might push. That's what the jury might push, or what the jury might believe. You're so hell-bent on killing this person that you found no need to have handcuffs. Carry handcuffs, guys. Carry restraints. Now, if you work in some capacity where handcuffs are maybe a burden to you, maybe you're working some undercover assignment, carry zip ties. Okay, carry some type of restraint. I don't care if you have to buy those handcuffs that connect the two thumbs together. Some restraint. Ultimately, if you end up having to use your firearm, investigators will photograph you and they'll photograph your equipment. If I'm able to find the pictures, I'll post it up right now. But if you guys remember that Oregon private security officer who's prior military that ended up shooting that person, or that male who stole pellets from, I think, the Lowe's shopping center in Oregon. There's pictures of him on the internet being photographed by law enforcement. So the investigating agency, what they end up doing, and those of you who've taken my 40-hour private patrol operator online leadership and development course, we talk about this for about 3 to 4 hours, about what you can expect if you get involved into a shooting. I go really detailed into this, and also if you're a supervisor manager, what you can expect your employee to go through, and how you can give them some type of comfort and maybe some type of aid. But we talk about the subject. So your equipment is photographed, and during an interview, if you waive your Fifth Amendment right to self-incrimination, the investigating agency will ask you about all of the options. Hey, how come you didn't use pepper spray? Well, the subject was too far away. My pepper spray reach, I was trained, is only 7 and 10 feet. He was about 15 feet. That's why I wasn't able to use pepper spray on this person. And you're talking about maybe a knife incident. Why didn't you use your baton? Well, my baton is only 15 inches long. And this person was 17 feet away. That's why I used my baton. Why didn't you use your taser? Well, I couldn't use my taser because we were near gasoline pumps and I could smell gasoline either coming from the subject or coming from the gas pumps. I couldn't decipher which it was, but I didn't want to take the chance of lighting him on fire because I was trained in taser school that if you taser somebody who's doused in alcohol or gasoline, you can actually set them on fire. The electricity that comes out of the taser probes that conducts out of taser probes makes contact with the flammable substance, and then the subject catches on fire. That's why I didn't do that. Then it comes to the firearm. Why did you have to use your firearm? Well, I had to use my firearm because the person presented a knife. Well, the person presented a gun. This person was closing in distance with me. I couldn't use pepper spray because we're way too far away and there was no guarantee of incapacitation. There was no great likelihood that it was going to be effective, especially on a charging person. I was taught in my pepper spray certification course that some people can fight through pepper spray and that 15% of the population is not affected by pepper spray. Okay, how come you didn't use your taser? Well, the person was presenting a knife, a deadly instrument. I believe that if I deployed the taser, I would risk injury to myself because a taser is not 100% effective. I've seen some studies where they're only 50% effective, sometimes 60%. And I didn't want to give the suspect that opportunity. Why didn't you use your baton? I didn't use my baton because my baton is only 18 inches long and the person was 15 feet away. And also, if I had to use my baton, if I missed during my swing, if I missed that suspect, that person would have the opportunity to either shoot their gun at me or stab me. So these are just things to think about, guys. They're going to go through all their equipment. And what are you going to say when the investigator asks, how come you don't have pepper spray? Oh, I didn't think I needed it. Or why don't you have a baton? Oh, because it looked... I mean, what are you guys going to say? You're going to say, because the optics look bad in court? Good luck. Good luck when you're sitting in front of a homicide investigator and you're having to give these answers. Good luck. Just have the equipment on you guys, even if you don't think you're going to need it. Just have it on you. That way you could explain later that you had all the equipment. You had all the tools to de-escalate. However, the subject is the one that did not de-escalate. That's all I have, guys. I'll do another video on just the term of de-escalation, how it's used. It's used too much. If you guys have any other advice, tips, suggestions, you can comment below. Keep in mind, though, that if you're watching this video, anybody that comments or that engages in a discussion, we appreciate it. However, keep in mind that it's never legal advice. My information also is not legal advice. Take care, guys, and be safe.